the 2024 Toyota Grand Highlander, the grandest of Highlanders, so I've been told. And it utilizes the same hybrid powertrain as the Toyota Crown. Now, that means about 364 horsepower and 400 foot-pounds of torque. And that's pretty good for this class, because this is a murderously competitive class. If you're going to jump into the big SUV three-row game, you better bring your A game. And Toyota, well, they've got a pretty deep well from which to draw. So let's see how this thing drives. As you'd expect from just about any Toyota, they put a lot of thought into the interior, and if they're trying to drag people out of a regular Highlander, or dare I say, even a RAV4, those customers are going to find a lot to like in here. The switchgear is very familiar, the materials are very familiar, and the layout is very familiar to anyone who's been in the Toyota family, so that's a very smart play. I think they'll also get some conquest buyers as well, just because of Toyota's massive reputation for reliability for everything in that regard. That doesn't mean it's exciting though, just to be clear. And Toyota has really cracked the nut with fuel economy in some of its vehicles. For example, the Venza and the Sienna. If you take it, you don't even need to take it easy on them. You will get easily into the 6 liters per 100 kilometers range, no problem. I've done it myself, and I'm a heavy guy, putting a lot of weight into a vehicle, so if I can do it, so can you. And as you can see from the spec box off to the side, this thing, despite its size and despite its bulk, does offer excellent fuel economy. There is a little more tire noise than we might have hoped for in the 2024 Grand Highlander, and whether that's down to rubber selection or insulation, we'll have to wait until the first tire change to find that out. In terms of comfort, I'm a big guy, I'm 6'6". You can see there's lots of headroom here, even with the glass roof. Hard buttons all over the place, which is a very good thing. Not everything has been morphed into the infotainment system. But speaking of the infotainment system, it is light years better than some of the previous efforts from Toyota. It's usable, it's decently responsive, and its graphics are pretty crisp. One thing I will mention is the shifter. And if we could all agree as a human automotive community to stop trying to reinvent the shifter, that'd be great. We've kind of morphed into something here from Lexus, which is fine if you're coming from that family of vehicles. Everyone else, it might take a few days to get acclimated to it. Let's put it that way. So perhaps a bit surprisingly, even though we've got a really good infotainment system over here to our right, directly in front of the driver, the gauges are digitally presented, but I do feel that they could do a lot more with the digital real estate in which they have invested. You do get a splash screen when you change from drive mode to drive mode, from normal to rock to whatever, but as it sits, it just does look a little bit outdated. That might appeal to some demographics, but for this guy, I'd rather have a bit more action going on the screen. Okay, and if I could rant for just a second, whilst rolling up to a stoplight, I looked down there just to confirm that all of phones and whatnot weren't going all over the place. And the driver attention system yelled at me, said, "Put your eyes back on the road." Now, if I wanted to be reminded of those things, I'm surprised it doesn't tell me I need to eat my vegetables and brush my teeth before I go to bed. Merging onto the highway from an exit, the power delivery in this 2024 Grand Highlander Max is really, really robust. You don't need to dig too deep in order to find all that torque, and I know people buy horsepower, but they drive torque. And if you've got this thing loaded down with a brood full of kids or a whole bunch of stuff from Costco, you're not going to be very concerned about merging onto the highway. I don't think anyone buys one of these things for its handling prowess, but you've got to realize there are thousands of pounds here at play, and the suspension engineers do have a job to do in order to keep that tamped down. I think Toyota's done a decent job, especially because of those twisty bits that we were just through there then that didn't really bounce my head around, that didn't make me seasick, or well, I'm from Newfoundland, so I'm not going to get seasick anyways, but I do feel the suspension engineers, given what they've got to work with, have done a decent job, and people getting... Okay, another rant here. Closed eyes detected, look forward. Now, y'all were just watching me for the last 30 seconds, and these beautiful blue eyes were definitely open. So, Toyota, stop allowing this thing to panic whenever it thinks that the driver is not paying attention. I hate these nannies. Oh my God, so much. I mean, this is a murderously competitive segment, as we mentioned. You've got the Kia Telluride, excellent machine. You've got the Hyundai Palisade, excellent machine. I think some people will mention the Chevy Tahoe in the same breath as this vehicle. I don't think they quite fit, but some people will mention it in the same breath. The Explorer is 3-row. It's old, but it is there. Same thing with the Durango and all its permutations until the end of this year. That's old, but it's 3-row and it's also there. As we always recommend on Driving.ca, shop around. Don't make this your only test drive. But if you're looking for a 3-row SUV, this should be on your list. For Driving.ca, I'm Matthew Guy.